How's it going, everybody? I've got some more magic for you today with a Golgari Counters deck. These have been really popular, especially since the Ouroboros came out. So I wanted to build another deck around this general concept so that I could play around with the card Cheering Crowd. Now, this is Gruul colors, but you can play red or green, so you could use this in any deck that has any combination of those colors. In this case, I wanted to play Golgari. I thought that there were some interesting options in this color combination that I could utilize the extra mana for. So the things that I've built this deck around to pair with Cheering Crowd is obviously Luis Pompous Pillager because it has an X mana cost, Goldvein Hydra because it has an X mana cost, and then in the sideboard we also have Outrageous Robbery with an X mana cost. Any of these three cards are really able to monopolize and benefit from the Cheering Crowd mana in a way that other cards aren't. Obviously, you can use this to ramp up, potentially get like an Unholy Annex out earlier, or even possibly an Ouroboros. But where this is a 2 mana cost card, it's less useful for things like Ouroboros. It still could absolutely get you out to 5 mana more quickly for the Ritual Chamber, so that is also potentially useful. And I just thought as a whole, putting this in a counters deck was going to be useful too. Both of these have an X cost on creature cards that are going to increase their power and toughness. And you get something out of them for that, right? Like Luis has lifelink, so the more power and toughness that it has, the more life you're going to be able to gain, even if you're not alternatively getting it from that extra damage that it deals early on. So if you have Ouroboros out with either of these, then they're going to be adding to the power and toughness. And in the case of the Goldvein Hydra, whatever mana you're able to put into it affects its power and toughness, just like Luis. Only when this creature dies, you get a number of 1/1, or not 1/1, a number of tapped treasure tokens equal to its power. So getting this creature out large is already useful from the gate, but then also if you have it with Ouroboros, then it's going to increase the number of treasure tokens. Not to mention this is also a trample haste creature, so having the extra power on this creature is going to help with trample. We've got things to kind of help get Ouroboros better. Things like Summon Fenrir, because it's a 3-drop that can get you an extra mana, helping you to guarantee you get Ouroboros on the next turn if it's in your hand. As well as on the second Saga, it lets you put a 1/1 counter on any creature that you play that turn, so you can play Ouroboros. It immediately comes in as a 2/4, and then puts 2 1/1 counters on all creatures you have on the board. And then Warden of the Grove, very similar. It is a 3 mana, enters, and then at the end step you put a 1/1 counter on this creature. When a new creature enters, you can choose to endure, meaning you can either create a creature token that has the power and toughness equal to this creature's counters, or you can put however many counters this creature has on entering creature. So if you get this out on turn 3, it becomes a 3/3. Turn 4, you can play Ouroboros, get it a 1/1 counter. Again, it'll be a 2/4 and put 2 1/1 counters on all creatures on the board. Other cards that just synergize extremely well with this package are things like Paw Patch Recruit. It's a really good 1-drop or 3-drop because then you get the token as well. That gives you extra bodies you can have out on the battlefield for more things for Ouroboros to make larger. Or if anything of yours gets targeted by a spell, then you get to put a 1/1 counter on something, depending on how many of these you have. So if you have both of them, then you get to put up to 2 1/1 counters on 2 different targets. And then we have Demon Wall. Really synergizes well with these types of effects as well. It's able to attack as if it doesn't have Defender if it gets any 1/1 counters on it. It can easily gain 1/1 counters from things like Paw Patch Recruit, Summon Fenrir, Warden of the Grove, Ouroboros. So any of those could make it able to get those 1/1 counters without having to necessarily pay 6 mana to add those 1/1 counters. Because we are playing Golgari, it's really always good to have Unholy Annex, pretty much. You won't necessarily need to prioritize this card because it isn't a demon deck, but having the ability to ramp up to the Ritual Chamber means that you could get a demon out in that way very quickly. as well as we do have the Demon Wall in the deck since it benefits from those 1/1 counters, so you can pair it with the Unholy Annex. I do have in the sideboard a few Bloodletters of Accolazats, which do work out just fine in this deck, but I didn't want to prioritize the Demon package, so it's there more as a absolutely necessary thing. Like if you're playing the match and you're not able to get any of your stuff to stick, you can swap out some of the token package, play a little bit more leaning into the Bloodletter. We also have Liliana Dreadhorde General in the sideboard. It pairs really, really well with Cheering Crowd if you can get Cheering Crowd out, because that mana cost is a lot easier to get to. Also, Goldvein Hydra can help you ramp up to it a little bit more quickly as well. I think that covers pretty much everything in the deck. We do have Hollowmark Siege. More often than not, you're going to want to play this for Sultai so that any of your entering creatures with 1/1 counters, or anytime you get a 1/1 counter, it's going to give you more card draw, similarly to Unholy Annex. I only have this as a 2-of because it can get killed early, which can make it a little bit easier for something like an Unholy Annex to stick. We also have the Abzan side, which is nice, but if you don't have any creatures able to stay on board, then it's not as helpful. In sideboard, we've got Scavenging Ooze to deal with our opponent's graveyard, Duress for some of the more controlling matchups, Disruptive Stormbrood if we have to start getting rid of enchantments or artifacts from our opponent primarily. We've got Sinkhole Surveyor, which is really good, but I just felt like Warden of the Grove was better in this deck since it can pass on the 1/1 counter to things like Ouroboros. But if you see that the flying can get you into a win a little bit more quickly, maybe a good option in sideboard here is to go for like the Bloodletter, Sinkhole Surveyor taking out the Wardens, Bloodletter taking out Ouroboros, and then instead of playing entirely in the 1/1 counter aspect of this deck, you can focus more on having flying to deal with your opponent, because between Disruptive Stormbrood, Bloodletter of Accolazats, and Sinkhole Surveyor, you can have quite a few flying creatures to get your opponents out in the air, if that has to be like a side mechanic that you're aiming for to get your win. Anyway, land is pretty standard. We do have Restless Cottage, which is the only tap land I decided to include in this. Blooming Marshes is a good fast land. We have a Starting Town, which is a good fast land, and then Wastewood Verge. The Verge only is able to be activated from your forest and swamps. Since we didn't include Multiversal Passage in this deck, it can be a little bit harder to have Verge online, but not too bad between 6 standard or 6 basic lands. But I didn't want to run like the Mortuary because it would be more tapped lands and stuff, and we do have a lot of early game plays that we want to do between Llanowar Elves, Pawpatch Recruit, Demon Wall, Cheering Crowd, Warden of the Grove, and Summon Fenrir. You kind of want to get any of these things going that you possibly can right away, and tap land is just going to slow us down. Restless Cottage can absolutely be helpful, though, especially since it's able to target your opponent's graveyard, and graveyard decks are so prevalent right now. But I'm going to be playing this deck in best of 1, going for 3 wins like I normally do. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Alright, we do get to go first, which is nice, and this is pretty usable. I'm going to essentially just try and play out what we have here. Turn 1, Wastewood with the Pawpatch. Turn 2, we'll probably be playing the Demon Wall, unless we get a land by turn 3 for Fenrir. Did get a land. That does change things, so we'll go here. Because that means we could get this out next turn, enabling this for the turn after. Reanimator from our opponents. Doesn't matter what land we pick here. I'd be surprised if the opponent goes for any kind of a block here, but if they do, that's fine. Okay. They decided to trade one of the Pawpatches for that. I really think that's probably a poor choice, but that's fine with me. Go ahead and go here, get Ouroboros down. Now ideally the opponent has kept up a removal on their part, but it doesn't seem like they had, because I'm just blazing through here. They're going to have a hard time surviving to get anything out of their graveyard now. Yeah, we just had them dead there. They needed to get things into their graveyard much more quickly than they actually did. But we hit really good curves there. Paw Patch into another Paw Patch, into Summon Fenrir, into Ouroboros. See, with them keeping up mana here like this, I assumed they had something like a Bitter Triumph, that they were going to get rid of Ouroboros before it would trigger to buff these guys. But now with this as it is, nothing that they played on this turn would have saved them from dying, because we were going to be able to activate a Restless Cottage as well as attack with a Paw Patch Recruit, which was going to be at least 8 damage, even if they dealt with our Ouroboros. Summon Fenrir would have disappeared this turn, and we would have drawn a card from that, but they were pretty much completely dead, and they didn't have anything in their graveyard that reviving would have saved them, because just getting back a Valgavoth cult thing, Faithful, wasn't going to save them. Anyway, it's pretty good game one, really quick match. Let's see if we can get some more good ones. Opponent gets to go first, which is pretty unfortunate. Our stuff's usable though, so I'll keep it. Not really seeing anything interesting from the opponent yet, which is fine. I'm gonna go here with Sultai so that we can start getting some value out of it as soon as possible. Waiting to see what our opponent's gonna do other than just sit and stare at us. Phoenix down means they have some intention to get something back from the graveyard if they lose something. Duskrow's Reliquary. It seems really unnecessary, but okay. My goal is probably going to be to get a demon out as quickly as possible. Go ahead and grab a forest here. We do get to draw a card as well, which is nice. Plenty of land, so next we'll get down a ritual chamber. Unless we get something like an Ouroboros, which would be nice, but I don't see that happening. Yeah, so counter goes up, we get to draw with the Hallmark Siege. I still think Ritual Chamber is just what we want to go for here in this case. Unfortunately, it doesn't get the 1/1 counter from the Fenrir. We're in a good place now, though. If we get like an Ouroboros or something, we can really capitalize on it. I'm not really concerned with the Bunny Corn at all. We do have Bitter Triumph, so we'll have to decide what we want to use that on. His Wardens are pretty useless in this situation, though, because we have a demon. Okay. Do get to draw 2 cards here? Just 1, okay. Let's play land. It's kind of hard to say what I really want to deal with here. Let's go here. Discard a card. What do we want to get rid of here? Probably this. Getting rid of starting town should be fine. Could get down the paw patch, but I just don't think there's a good reason to. We're going to gain a little bit of life and draw another card here. If I have to let them hit me with the bunny corn, that's fine. Didn't even bother pumping up the wardens anymore, which is kind of surprising. Okay, we're going to recreate a demon. Doing so sucks, though. But, I mean, I just die if I don't, so... Go ahead and ditch the cottage, I suppose. We're still not in a good spot health-wise. We can block one thing. Fortunately, they're a little light on mana. He actually lowered the amount of damage that we took there, which is kind of nice. Okay. Definitely want to do this so that we gain more life. Ouroboros, pretty necessary, I think. But we could just put out more blockers, which is probably even better. Not really sure what I want here. Let's go with this. It'll draw us an extra card. Maybe we'll get a land. Got a Louise, which is actually really nice, because if they don't kill us this turn, then we can gain a significant amount of life. Did get back up to 6, which is nice. No huge threats for this turn. They can only attack with 4 creatures. Unless they're able to get both of those able to fly, I can block both. And I can just kill him on the next turn if he keeps going hard like this. Yeah, he's just tapping out all of his stuff, so he's gonna die. Now he can only attack with 3 creatures because he tapped one of his creatures able to attack. So looks like we did pull off a win in this match. Our opponent was very aggressive, but it was pretty okay. Let's see, do we get an untapped land here? No. That's fine. Let's go ahead and play Louise. We got 2, 4, 6 mana. Get back a significant chunk of health. And then we'll just go ahead and finish them off like this. If they want to block, that's fine, because these will kill him regardless. Yeah, you can think all you want, but you're not going to get anywhere. Alright, well, that is game over. Alright, so that's a pretty good match too. Our opponent was very aggressive. We actually got really, really low, down to 2 life at one point. It would have been 1 if he hadn't removed 1/1 counters from his own creatures to try and draw answers. Fortunately, the Unholy Annexes really kind of just saved us there. We had a lot of stuff to play around with, but nobody ever lets us keep any of our cheering crowds or anything, and we didn't really have the time to build up with it like we would have liked to. Them being able to answer so many things, I don't know. We really had to deal with the Warden and the Bunnycorn. That was it, because they were both so big that they would have instantly killed us if we didn't answer both. Being able to deal with that is the only thing that really got us forward here. But yeah, pretty good match too. Let's see what we can get for game 3. Alright, we do get to go first. We have Llanowar Elf and Fenrir, so this looks like a pretty good opening. This will really be made best if our elf gets to survive for even just a single turn, and we'll have to see if we're that lucky. Right now, playing any kind of creature-oriented deck right now is painful. Like, anything with creatures in it hurts. You're better off playing token decks, or anything that doesn't have creatures in it, really. In this case, we're just going to go ahead and go with another forest so that we can get Ouroborid out without much pain. Okay, not too bad. That's actually pretty helpful. We get Ouroborid down. Fenrir is going to grow it a little bit. I don't mind attacking with the Fenrir because we're not going to have it as an opportunity for long. Could go with another Ouroborid here. Nope. Alright, so this was a really quick match, and it's pretty much exactly what I said. We played something that didn't instantly kill our Llanowar Elf, and because of it, we got to go crazy. Most decks right now are running so much removal that if you're playing a creature-focused deck like this one, you're dead, like instantly. You get everything that you play removed, and it doesn't matter what color your opponent's playing. They could be playing mono green, and they will sit and do fight spells until you have absolutely no creatures left. My recommendation for this meta is not even to play these kinds of decks. Don't play this. Don't play Reanimator, because everybody's running Graveyard Hate also. What you want to run is just Control. I would say Esper Control, Simulacrum Synthesizer, there's even Dimir Mill, Esper Mill. Any of those are going to be more fun right now to play than anything else, because no one will let you use any of the combos in your deck. No one will let you play your deck. That's it. That's it, plain and simple. No one will let you play your cards. Anyway, so I'm a little frustrated. This video didn't take that long to record, but just in general, I'm not having fun on matches right now because the meta is so bad. You either have to win by turn 4 or make sure that you can absolutely destroy everything your opponent tries to do so they can't win by turn 4. And it's just not fun. But this deck is really interesting. It's really fun. If you get a match where you get to actually play with anything, it's really nice. So far, I personally haven't gotten to have any fun with Cheering Crowd. I really, really like the card, but people just kill it right away. You don't get to actually monopolize on the ability of it because people absolutely hate it and will shoot it immediately. Just as much as Llanowar Elf. Like, any kind of ramp that you have whatsoever, people are going to target it, and it makes it really hard to play around with it and have fun. But hopefully you guys like this video. Maybe you'll come up with some more ideas that I'm just not. And if so, absolutely please share them with me, because I would love to know some good use of Cheering Crowd that I'm not thinking of that would actually let it survive long enough to be used. But thanks for joining me. Hopefully you guys like the video.